Hello, Solo of the Month. Welcome to our group practice for August of 2025, which is focusing on the first movement of the Philippe Gaubert Sonata Number 1 in A major, which is the movement that we're working on as a group. Next month, we'll be working on the second movement, and then the month after that, we'll be working on the third movement plus an additional piece for people who are wanting a little bit of variation. But we're sticking with Gaubert for a while and really diving in deep. So if you're watching this video and you're not part of the group yet, I hope you'll join us and become a participating member of it. So we're going to start by just doing a little bit of warming up together, and we can warm up in a lot of different ways. And I was telling the group before I hit the record button, I actually haven't played flute except for maybe one chromatic scale so far today and a couple of just B naturals, just to remember where my face and flute are in relationship to each other. But I'd actually like to start with a breathing exercise without our flute first to start to calm ourselves, because I know that once we get in the situation of these master classes or clicking record to post a video or whatever it might be, our anxiety tends to go up a little bit sometimes. We might get a little bit nervous or even fearful. So we're going to start with a simple box breathing exercise. We'll blow out our air to begin. We'll inhale for 4 counts. I'm trying to, where's the background that you can see my fingers? We'll hold full for 4 counts. And I like to hold full without tension. So for me, I imagine that I'm still inhaling, and that keeps everything open. Some people like to lock the air in. That just doesn't feel comfortable for me. We'll exhale for 4, and then we'll hold empty for 4. And again, I like to imagine that I'm still exhaling so I don't have any clenching feeling in my throat. But there are definitely people who practice this where they purposefully lock those air chambers. So we'll do this together, and I'll try to just show where 4 is, and I'll breathe a little bit louder than I normally would. But I'd like to invite you to join me in just taking a few breaths together. So let's begin by blowing all the air out. And begin. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold. Inhale. Hold. Exhale. Hold. In. Out. In. Out. In. Out. Inhale and breathe naturally. Maybe even sigh on your next exhale. So how do you all feel? Any more relaxed? Any more calm? So I oftentimes say, and I'll admit, I am a super energetic teacher and oftentimes very caffeinated also. So I tend to talk very fast and with a lot of energy. But it is really important that we remember that whatever it is that we practice, from the way that we breathe to the mindset around playing, is what we pattern or what we learn. So if we're moving into tricky music, feeling tense or agitated, then we're going to be learning those feelings of tension and agitation. And then when we come to the music, we're going to be accessing those feelings whether we want to or not. So if we start this music with that sense of peace and calm, then hopefully we'll feel a lot more at peace. And
Can you turn your volume just a tiny bit higher?
Yep, I sure can. And I was talking a little bit quieter too, using my little yoga voice too. So, all right. So now that we've done a little bit of warming up with the breath, let's take that and apply it to just the head joint. So I'm going to change the breathing pattern a little bit. We're going to inhale for 4, and then we're going to make tone on the head joint for 4. And we'll do 2 cycles of that. So pretty simple. Blow out your air. Inhale. naturally. We're going to change it up just a little bit. We'll inhale for 4. We'll exhale this time for 10. So extending the exhale by 2 additional counts. Know that you can breathe in anytime that you need to. So blow out the air to begin. And let's go. In. Blow it out and rest for a second. One more time doing this. We'll inhale for 4, exhale for 12 counts. So we're extending the duration of the exhale, which is good for we flute players because, well, we have to hold long phrases. But also, the more time that we spend exhaling, the more we tend to calm our nervous system down, which is going to help us become even more focused and even more relaxed as we approach this music. So final time together, inhale 4, exhale for 12, or for 3 sets of 4. Blow it out and inhale. Breathe in and relax. So you can continue to extend those counts on your own for as long as you feel comfortable. Sometimes I like to challenge myself to blow out and hold empty a little further than I'm normally comfortable with to create a new comfort zone in my mind, right? So we've got to convince the mind that we're not going to pass out if we blow out just a little bit more air. And it's good to do that in a calm setting rather than on stage, and definitely not while driving, right? Or operating a motor vehicle. But as you continue to extend those, then we also begin to gain confidence in the amount of time that we're going to be able to sustain tone and create long phrases. So thank you for doing a couple of breaths with me. And how do you all feel? Go ahead and unmute yourself or type out, just, so no one fell asleep or passed out from blowing out a little bit of extra air there, right? Got some waves. All right, so we're going to get started looking at this Gaubert Sonata, and I'd love to invite you all to play first, because we all know I can talk plenty. So I think, Mary Ellen, you'd mentioned that you might be willing to play the opening of the Gaubert Sonata, so let me just go ahead and figure out how to highlight your video. There we go.
Sorry, my computer decided to do something weird there.
Those computers making their own decisions, right?
Oh, they always do, the machine, before the machine takes over, right? I'm really nervous about this one. French music, I love it, but holy moly, makes me nervous. No. Oh, heck, what is going on? That's where I get screwed up. I get screwed up in the runs. I've been working through your exercises that you did for the first video, so and they really do help. I'm just a little out of practice because I haven't practiced for a couple of days.
You are where you are, and that's great. So, Mary Ellen, the first thing I'm going to do is tell you a couple of things I liked, and then I'm going to ask you to say a few things that you liked too, which I know is the hardest part. So, I thought your vibrato on the sustained notes was really quite lovely and delicate, and I thought it was very appropriate for these piano entrances. So you had a nice size and speed of vibrato for those notes. And then I could definitely tell, especially in like measures 6 and 7, that you were leading through the 16th note runs rather than being stuck in them, to go forward, to make it feel like it had that kind of forward movement. So wonderful job with that, Mary Ellen. Can you tell me something that you enjoyed about that?
I actually, I know it's silly to tag along with the vibrato. I love the opportunity to, although I didn't do it, I didn't nuance it as much as I should have, but with the you know, going from piano to mezzo forte on a long note with the vibrato, I love it. I can't hear myself because I've got earphones in, so I didn't really hear myself very well. So I can't say. Usually I'm always kind of happy with my tone, although it didn't feel right. I don't think I've adjusted properly today. Yeah, so those felt good, and I'm not, and this is because of your exercises on those runs, I'm not feeling that panic when it's coming up. Yeah. And I'm kind of proud of myself for that.
Oh, I love that. Yeah, so once we begin to take runs and approach them from just a learning perspective and calm, then we can take that with us when we start to perform and play.
Honestly, your removal of the stems and practicing it on the different you know, different rhythms and such, it is the best thing I have ever done for a run. It is wonderful, and I'm so thankful that is something that you put out there for me to use, because it has taken a lot of the panic away.
And for those of you who might not know what she's talking about, I'll just put the link in the chat. There's a couple of things that you can download from this page for free. What she's talking about is it's taking those 2 runs, which are whole tone scales, and I've just deleted the stems, so all you see is a cluster of notes, with a suggestion of playing them in any rhythm that you like, but in that order. So so it's the same order of notes, just letting yourself have a little bit of creativity and freedom and ownership of it. So thank you for giving that a try, and I'm glad it's been useful for you.
Sorry, incredibly useful. It really takes a lot of the panic away from looking at the notes, because I know that I can play them without all the stems on them. So in a different rhythm. So there's no reason why I can't play it.
And as you've heard me talk in these months past, it's always also good to practice the technical aspects away from the music before the music. I like to do most of my practice away from the music so I can play in the music more. And that's a whole tone scale. So if you can practice your whole tone scales just as a technical exercise. Etc., then it will become also just more like the pattern will become more ingrained in the brain. We'll feel more comfortable with it too. And Mary Ellen, while I've got you though, I think one thing that's happening with the start of this, and I'd like for you to start it again in a second, but and it seems like many of us are having a little bit of maybe vulnerability issues with that very first note. How many people, and my video is frozen, hopefully this is still recording fine.
Yes, your video is frozen.
How many people would have air before the
note? So then the next time I play it, a couple of measures later, the same thing comes up. I don't have any problem. But it's the first time, the first note.
So we have a few options with starting that note, and we've talked about this in classes past. Sometimes I like to start with a 2, sometimes a poo, sometimes no articulation at all. So I like to, on a less scary note, try a couple of those starts. So let's play the A in the staff, and let's try it with a very gentle, and piano, a very gentle 2. Try it with a poo. And try it with a who, so no tongue, no articulation at all. Let's take it up to the E, so the dominant, the 5th scale degree. which is a note that tends to crack on our flutes a lot anyway, so it's nice that we're going to give it a little bit more love right now. So 3 2s on the E. Three poos. Three whoos. Let's go to the G sharp, the note below that scary first note. 3 2s. Three poos. Three whoos. And then let's go to the A. 3 2s. Three poos. Three whoos. And then talk out to me. What did those 3 different articulations feel like? And did any of them feel like they would be really useful?
The 2 is the one I normally use. The other 2, if I do who, I get a harmonic that's lower. I mean, I don't have the right amount of pressure, so I get the lower harmonic, which is way worse than the air that's coming out before
Sure.
the 2.
Yeah, so it does take a well-focused embouchure and maybe a little bit more compressed aperture for that to work. Any other thoughts of those 3 articulations? Which of those are preferred? Gwen, were you about to say something?
Yeah, I don't consciously use the poo a lot, but I actually found it easier than the other 2.
Yeah, good.
Might try that. Yeah.
I am a big fan of saying there's more right ways to do things than wrong.
Yeah.
My one of my teachers, Don Gottlieb, used to say that to me all the time, and it's very true. And Mary Ellen, since this was your start, how did those feel to you?
I generally, when it's a piano or pianissimo or whatever, I generally use a who. I use actually what I use is a air. What do you call that? It's in your practice, your warm up there that you've done, where I just hit it with air from my diaphragm.
Yeah.
Generally speaking, so I guess that's a who in that
great.
case.
So a tongueless attack, a little breath attack.
I'm a singer, so that's easy.
Oh, good.
For me.
Awesome. Well, since we've warmed up a little bit more now, Mary Ellen, would you go ahead and demonstrate those first several measures for us one more time? Just to give us an opportunity to give you an even bigger applause.
Dogs started barking at the neighbors. I don't know what is going on here. I've totally got my flute out of alignment here.
Great job, though. Thank you, Mary
Sorry.
Ellen. That sounded lovely, and we're just so glad to be doing this together, too. So thank you for putting yourself out there. Can we get a round of applause for Mary Ellen, the first one on this Saturday morning practice together to play and demonstrate? That was fantastic. Any other thoughts for the opening? I know I kind of talked about trying a couple different articulations. But does any another trick that I'd like to offer the group is for that first A, if you have any concern of the intonation, and our tendency is probably going to be flat there, one of the tricks that you might see a lot of people do is add their left hand pinky, that fourth finger, the G sharp key spatula thing. Part of why that's useful is because it keeps the flute from rolling in, or it keeps the flute a little bit more forward. I don't know if that opening the key actually changes the pitch in any way besides that, but it is a trick that I see a lot of people use. So if you're worried about being flat on that first A natural, you might start with the pinky down too. Any other tips for that opening, or any other thoughts for that opening section? All right. Next on my list of people to play out is Joan. Joan, where would you like to start today? I'm sorry, Jonah. Let's get you to unmute there.
Okay, I forgot to unmute. Now I'm unmuted. Can everybody hear? I guess you can, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. I'll go. I'm not going to play the problem measure because I probably will screw it up. So, but I do want to talk about that later. Maybe if you could, again and again.
Yeah. And
So,
again, I don't see screwing up in practice as being an issue. I see it as being a learning opportunity. So just play
all
whatever
right.
part you want to
I'm
play.
gonna. Okay, then I'll just do it just for the heck because
Just do it. Yeah.
I'm nuts. Okay, so I'll start with the measure beforehand or so. No, no. I'm sorry, that was really bad. Let me put the music up and try it again. So the last four notes come out okay, but the first part has always been a problematic. And now that I'm under pressure, it's way, way worse. So,
Isn't
but,
it crazy how that works? Yeah, once that pressure kicks in, we tend to tighten things up, which never
but
makes it even easier
I
on the
think it's
flute.
the B flat too. I can't get from the G to the B flat without, I don't know.
We'll practice that in a couple different ways. I first want to say though, great job. Like measure 125, those A major arpeggios. This is what 125 is. Those A major arpeggios felt plenty comfortable. So
Oh yeah, no, I don't have any
you're
problems with that.
probably making some teacher proud that you must have practiced your arpeggios. Great job with that. That's we teachers are always like scales and arpeggios, and students are like, why? Well, that's why. And Joan
Oh
does
yeah,
that
no,
really
I
great.
understand that. Yeah. Okay.
All right, so let's practice a couple of things together first. So we're going to first just make sure we feel confident with these high note fingerings. So to do that, I like to put my flute on my left shoulder and aim the foot joint at the music so I can see my fingers and the foot joint simultaneously and say the notes while being aware of what my fingers are doing. So let's go ahead and start the measure before, measure 122. So flute on your shoulder and just say the notes. So we have E flat. Flute on
E
your shoulder, look
flat.
at your fingers. Flute on your shoulder so you can see your fingers. Put your flute on your shoulder, Joan, so you can see your fingers. Just say the note. Yeah, E flat. So your
Oh,
left pinky should be down for that high E flat. We're not playing. I'm not playing at all. Hey, Joan,
okay.
put your flute on your shoulder. Yeah, there you go. High,
Oh, don't
and
even try to blow in.
we're
Okay.
not going to play. No, say E flat and finger at E flat.
E flat.
Yep, your left pinky should be on that G sharp key, the A flat key. There you go. High E flat is every single finger. That's going to help in a second. So E flat, the next note is F. Middle finger up in this octave. Lift your left middle finger.
My left middle finger.
Uh-huh. Ring finger back
Okay.
down though.
What?
Put your ring finger back down. There you go. So that's high F fingering.
Yeah.
And then G flat. So G flat is thumb 1, 3, 3. So from the F to the G flat, you switch the right hand. So thumb. Let's start from the top of the flute. Thumb.
The right hand.
Let's start with the top of the flute. Left hand thumb. First finger,
Okay.
third finger. So middle finger up, pinky up. First finger down, though. Pinky up, 2. Left hand still. Lift your pinky. Thumb 1, 3. And then 3 on the right hand.
Right hand, 1, 2, 3. This.
Yep. And pinky's there for balance. So already we've kind of just noticed that those high note fingerings that you were using weren't the true high note fingerings. So it might be worth re-exploring some of those fingerings. Let's do that measure again. So that measure 122, E flat, every finger. F, we open the left middle finger compared to normal. G flat, switch the right hand to the third key. Go to G flat now. Very good. And the next note is high G, which is 1, 2, 3. All right, so let's go ahead and try playing those 4 notes. Wait. E flat every finger, including your pinky. Middle finger up on the F. Very good. All right, so pause. All right, so one thing we have to keep in mind, the high F sharp, we cannot use thumb B flat on. So we'll have to make sure that we don't have the thumb B flat for that ascending run right there. So the G flat F sharp is the one note that doesn't make any sense. Whether we have the thumb B flat on, we have to use the regular key there. Okay, but the G flat though.
G flat, okay.
There you go. So let's play those 4 notes again. The E flat, F, G flat, G. Awesome, already better. So the next measure, we'll say the notes. We have G,
Okay,
flat,
G,
F sharp. Say the notes first.
G, B flat, F.
Sharp.
Sharp, sorry.
Go ahead and play it.
Ugh.
Good. And I'd like to practice just that chunk, but we're going to play it in a different order. We're going to play F sharp, G, B flat, F sharp, G, B flat, F sharp, G, B flat, and loop it.
F sharp.
So creating a little loop around those 3 notes. F sharp, G, B flat. I'm going to type that in the chat.
That was good.
Yep, so loop it a few times.
Ugh.
So we're creating a new pattern that involves... Try to get the loop where you don't pause between the B flat and the F sharp though. Because when you look at the music, notice how that's in a slur, right? So now let's shift the first note. Let's do G, B flat, F sharp. G, B flat, F sharp. A couple times.
See, that's when I break there because I just can't seem to get from the B flat to the F sharp.
That's what we're doing, is creating a new pattern right now.
So
and
annoying.
then the third thing that we would do is the same notes in the same order but start on the B flat. So B flat, F sharp, G, B flat, F sharp, G.
B flat.
B flat is thumb, and then there you go. And so what we're doing is creating practice loops to reinforce these less familiar patterns. So the same 3 notes, I'm just going to do it quickly for reference for later. So that first clump, and I call these figaros, and because oftentimes it's descending things, and it reminds me of Figaro, Figaro, Figaro. Anyway, F sharp, G, B flat. We'd start on the F sharp first. F sharp, G, B flat, but starting on the G. F sharp, G, B flat, but starting on the B flat. And even though it's the same 3 notes in the same order, most people say that it feels different starting on the different notes. So starting on all 3 notes gives us the most complete way of looking at that clump of notes. We're going to do the same thing with the next clump that we're talking about, and we're going to double check those fingerings too. The clump will be E, F, A flat. So let's first just say those notes and make sure that we have the right high note fingerings.
Okay.
E, thumb 1, 2, 1, 2. So your third finger on the high E should be up. Go ahead and put your flute in your shoulder too, so that way I can see your fingers. Yep, so E is thumb 1, 2, 1, 2. There you go. And pinky is fine for balance. And then that high F fingering with your middle finger up. Go ahead and leave your flute on your shoulder. We're just doing the fingers.
Okay, sorry. Now, where are we going now? To the
E and then F. Good. And then high A flat. 2, 3, 4. Yep. Good. And you're doing the piccolo fingering, which is putting the right hand down there. I don't think that's necessary on this note, especially in this technical passage. So high A flat is just 2, 3, 4 of the left hand. The right hand can remain on just the pinky. So adding your right hand middle and ring finger, that's a super common fingering for the piccolo. And maybe it helps lower the pitch if you're holding the note for a long time. But in this technical passage, I think it's just going to slow you down. So let's try those three notes. E, F, A flat, E, F, A flat, and loop it. E, F.
oh, oh, that made a difference.
Let's try that a few times.
Because
E,
I don't
F,
have
A
to
flat.
use these fingers for the G sharp, A flat.
Yeah, you were doing extra work.
I certainly was. That might make a big difference.
I know,
Okay.
I wish we got
Anyway,
extra credit.
ouch, here goes my music. Okay.
I wish we got extra credit when we did extra work and music, but generally it just slows us down. So yeah, try that E, F, A flat, E, F, A flat a few times.
Where am I going now? A flat?
E, F, A flat. Yep.
Okay. Where am I going after? I'm sorry.
E,
A what?
E, F, A flat.
Oh. That's going to take a little getting used to.
Yeah, and
Using those fingers, but
and to avoid frustration and fatigue, I really think it's great to do this practice where you say the notes and look at your own fingers. Because if we're always blowing air, and especially if we're using the wrong fingering and it's extra resistant and we're blowing a lot of air, we're going to get dizzy, we're going to get tired, we're going to get frustrated. It's going to make bad squeaking sounds, and we're not going to like that, and neither will our neighbors. So when we're adjusting or when we're creating new finger habits, this is by far my favorite that I've ever experienced, of putting the flute on your left shoulder, looking at your fingers down the line of the flute and saying the note names. And I pointed at my music so that way I know what the next notes are going to be if I don't have it memorized. But in this case, E, F, A flat, E, F, A flat, E, F, A flat. And you won't believe how much more we learn about what our fingers are doing when we are paying attention to them. I also like to do this with my eyes closed and truly feel it. And the third thing that I really like to do is not actually move in any way, just imagine what fingers are moving and how. So that type of mental practice is super duper productive. There was a study about mental practice, and I'm going to make up numbers right now, as you know I like to do. Somebody can fact check me and find the study later. With free throws, they had 20 people practice free throws for a half an hour a day for 2 weeks. And they had 20 people mentally practice free throwing basketballs for 30 minutes a day for 2 weeks. And when they got back together after the 2 weeks, both groups had the exact same amount of improvement. The people who didn't move an inch, didn't get off their couch, but mentally practiced, and the people who did 30 minutes of physical work had the exact same improvement in their free throw numbers. So I'm making up the numbers it may have been 25 on each team. It may have been 3 weeks of mental practice instead of 2. I don't remember what the exact study was, but it was something like that. So mental practice is super powerful, but in this case, it also might keep us from practicing a bad habit or wrong fingerings in this case, right? So these upper notes do have unique fingerings, and we do to make sure that we take the time to practice them. And I think a little bit of slow practice like that, Joan, is going to make the biggest difference, not just in this piece, but every piece that we play going forward that has these high notes, right? If you've been using more resistant fingerings, that's going to be causing more tension, more frustration. So spending a little bit of time to learn and create habits around these upper note fingerings will be really useful. Maybe just even, of course, long tones, but have a fingering chart and just double check that you're using the preferred fingerings on those upper notes. And then a couple of scales in that upper register too. In my book, the 4-note scale patterns is one of my favorite things to practice the high note fingerings because it is a small chunk that's printed out. And if you're using my book, that's exercise number 1. And it's just doing the first 4 notes of the scale. So for example, D, E, F sharp, G. I also like that because the first 4 notes of the D major scale are the top of the G major scale. So if you were doing a G major 2-octave scale, and just going up the scales like that. So I don't know why I messed up my E flat major scale. Etc. So doing small chunks and making sure that you're totally with it is going to reprogram those high note fingerings. And then, Joan, those high notes are going to feel so much more successful for you every time going forward. Thanks for that, Joan. And so in addition to those figaros with these 16th note passages, we can also do rhythm distortion and things along those lines. But taking the smallest little chunks until you feel confident with it is strengthening the weakest link of your chain, right? So even if you're only practicing 3 notes and you spend 5 minutes practicing 3 notes, that's probably better than trying to slop your way through the entire run. Or it's probably more productive in the long run and for your future self, whatever piece we play next to. So I love that question. All right, and then Gwen, I think that you also said that you'd be willing to play something.
I did.
Excellent. Where should we look?
I don't know. I guess one area I tend to drag when I start on 3. Like I notice that on 3 it tends to quicken up the pace, and I tend to. So I don't know if I should start from 2 or something. I don't know.
I'll let you decide. Is 3 the Allegretto Vivo?
Yes.
Okay.
But yeah.
Mine doesn't have rehearsal marking, so let me draw 3 there really quick.
Yeah. Yes, it's the Allegretto Vivo.
Measure 33 is rehearsal 3. Got it.
Tell me. Well, if you can't hear me, just stop me because it means my audio settings aren't right. But I'll give it a try.
Great.
So I'm starting at 2. Is that? Okay.
Sure. Yep, and it does sound like it's clipping out. So can you double check that in the meeting it's turned on the original sound for musicians? Again, it's such a pain because we have to turn it on every time. Are you on a PC right now?
Audio? No. Original sound for musicians. Oh, okay. Let's try it now.
Great. Yeah, and I'm still not getting sound. Are other people out there hearing it, or is it also coming through without sound? All right, so Gwen, since we don't have sound, let's not give up though. Let's just can we talk about what it is where you're feeling? Are you is there something that you're wanting to practice or get some tips on, or is it something that you felt great about that you wanted to share out?
It was something I wanted tips on. It's kind of going from the measure before 2, 3, and just keeping the pace. I mean the pace picks up, and I tend to be dragging a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, and this is one of those places, measure 33 or rehearsal 3, that I think what's happening in the accompaniment also messes with our minds a little bit. So our flute part is, yes, there is a tempo increase there, but it's not super fast for us. But because the accompaniment is going significantly faster there than they had been, oftentimes we feel pressured that we're not going fast enough also. So it could be a little bit of that. And then the measure before 3, measure 32, we've mentioned how that's a C-sharp melodic minor scale, the ascending version of it going from the dominant, the G-sharp, going up to the E. So if you feel good about your C-sharp melodic minor scale, then all you have to do is just tell yourself, I know my C-sharp melodic minor scale. And that run can be a little bit less scary than. Yeah. And are you using your thumb B flat on that run?
Yes.
Yeah. And so the thumb B flat does make the ascending version of that scale nice because we have G sharp, A sharp, which we can do the thumb B flat, B sharp, which is finger like a C, and then C sharp. So we don't have to worry about getting off the thumb B flat there. And then we can actually leave it on for the next bit. We wouldn't need to take it off until the B natural, like 7 measures later. So from that A, thumb B flat makes that easier. We have that B natural in 33, 4, 5, 6, 7, and measure 39. But the note before is a C natural. So when our thumb is in the air for the C natural, we just put it down on the regular B key. So is it the rhythm? Is it the notes? Is it the A sharps? Is there any guess that you have, Gwen, of what might be making you feel like you're slowing down right there?
It's mostly just that I forget until I have the background music and I realize, oh, I'm supposed to be,
Yeah, and so sometimes have you mostly practiced it with the accompaniment or?
I have been lately practicing it with accompaniment. Yeah.
I do love that My Pianist app, but again, since we're hearing 16th notes in the piano part, it can feel a little bit intimidating. Where it might be worth just playing it with just a standard old metronome to make sure that you feel good about your eighth notes. So I'm going to just turn my metronome on to 50 for a second with the triplet subdivision. So it'd be like 150 for the eighth note. So, and then take it up little by little. I'm going to take it up a little bit more than a little bit. So taking it up to 58, splitting the difference. And then 66. And I think what we're going to realize is that it's not as fast as the piano makes us think. In context with the piano, though, the piano's got all of that movement that I think sometimes the atmosphere around us creates another layer of adrenaline or anxiety or stress or tension or whatever it might be. And then coming from the previous part into that is maybe where things start to feel a little bit tricky. So we are moving from 4/4 to 3/8.
Right.
And in that 4/4 section, the eighth note would be approximately, well, I'll just go ahead and, what is that, 156 if I math? I just went to my alarm clock, which doesn't help with math. 66 times 3. And then the eighth note in the 66 part would be 198. So it's moving up a good amount from the eighth note to the eighth note. But I don't think it's quite as big of a mountain as we worry that it's going to be. And personally, I'm also playing this sonata right now under the printed tempos. 88 for the Monterey felt faster than I want to play. I like it a little slower because it sounds more mysterious to me. And this Allegretto Vivo I'm playing also slightly under tempo, closer to 58, just because I like it more like that. And well, gosh, I'm a big kid and I can make those decisions on my own. So Gwen, is it does the fear of the tempo continue throughout this entire section at 3, or is it just that transition from that?
I think it's just a transition. It doesn't feel like a fear. It just feels like, I have to remember to anyway. Yeah, it's just that I don't do it until I realize that, oh, I'm supposed to do that.
A feature that the My Pianist app has also. So I'm going to start 2 before that on that F sharp A. Another feature that this app has, if you, in certain settings, if you just touch the screen and roll up and down, you see a metronome and a percentage.
Yeah.
So without changing the metronome markings, so that way I'm playing with the true relationship between the two sections.
Right.
I can start at 72%.
Okay.
and then move it to from 72% to 76 to 80 to 84 to 88% to 92% or
Yeah.
whatever. So that way it's keeping the relationship equal also. We are able to program many digital metronomes to do things like that for us these days, but it takes extra time. And so if you're already using the app, then maybe just help you get through that
Okay.
transition. So this is one of those situations where we can do it mentally, but like sometimes if we just lean on the technology a little bit, it can make life a bit easier right there too.
Yeah.
And the My
Okay.
Pianist app can start. You can start it right there. You don't have to go back to the beginning or whatever if you're using that app.
Right. Okay.
All right.
All right. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks for that too, Gwen, and for the.
Maybe I'll figure out how to use the original sound thing next time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know why. I don't know why it's not working because it's pressed in. It's blocked off.
And it says on or whatever.
Yeah. It
Mhm.
says on. Yeah.
It could also be, and maybe it would be worth playing around with a little bit. So once you started playing, your flute was also right next to your device, and I'm wondering if you just need to be a little scooted back. In fact,
Oh,
let's just take a second. Could you scoot back a little bit further from the built-in microphone and see if that just helps?
okay.
Yeah, no, I'm still not hearing you. So it's one of those interesting things that there might be another setting somewhere to poke around through. And also, I want to remind everybody that yes, we can do this and play live, and that's the way it's traditionally done. But if ever you want to get feedback and you don't feel like playing live, you can also just share your screen with your pre-recorded video, and that is a absolutely fine way of us also hearing and understanding some of these sections that are either braggable or tricky or whatever it is. Again, it doesn't. Not everything that we do in this needs to be things that need help. If there's something that you want to say, like, "Hey, I learned this trick and it made my life easier, and I want you all to know about it," we want that too. So you can also share screen with a pre-recorded video in these group practices as we go forward.
Thank you.
All right. So, are there any more sections that anybody wants to talk about in these last few moments? Either this is tricky, help, or hey, I love this. Can I play it? Or hey, something, whatever. Anything at all.
Matthew, this is Cheryl.
Hey,
How are
Cheryl.
you?
Great. How are you?
I'm good. I have a question. On the part you were working with on that G to the B flat and the F sharp? What's your philosophy? And I tried to write it in the chat. I'm not sure you got it. But what's your philosophy on keeping the right pinky down on the B flat? And of course, on that, of course, I find that the B flat and the B natural is more open if we don't put the right pinky down.
So I will only be able to give you my philosophy because, but I was never taught to lift the pinky on those notes, and nowadays I like to leave the pinky down when I can because I think it keeps the flute itself more stable, less
I
likely
agree.
to roll in or out. So if I can leave the pinky down, I do. And so in that case, I absolutely would leave the pinky down for all of those notes, including that high E natural. But I would leave the pinky down just to have one more finger that's not moving to keep the flute just a little bit more stable.
I agree with you.
Great. Yeah, thank you. So yes, if you were taught to lift your pinky on the high B flat, for example, and I understand that some people are, and I saw a fingering chart that had just recently that had the pinky up for the high B flat and B natural. It shouldn't affect those two notes very much. It does make the high C more resistant for sure on most flutes. And it's one of those things where even with the high C, if I'm playing a technical passage, I leave my pinky down. I know that the high C is more resistant, and I'm just going to keep my airspeed fast. But I'd rather do that than have the flute kind of shaking and bouncing around a little bit. So anything
Now,
that's
sometimes
technical,
on the high C, I was going to share, especially with more of the student or intermediate flutes, their high Cs tend to respond more if they don't put the pinky down.
Right. So if I'm sustaining a high C or if I'm doing long tones, I absolutely have my pinky up on the high C. But what I'm saying is if I'm playing a technical passage, I'll oftentimes leave it down and just keep my air a little bit more open and just so that way the flute doesn't bounce around. So the high C is a contextual thing, but all of the notes below high C, I think it's totally fine to leave the pinky down without too much problem.
Because I either tell people to use, it depends on the response of their flute. either the low B on the high C, C sharp and D, or the C sharp and C roller together.
Mm-hmm.
It just, again, a lot of it just depends on the flute.
Yeah, yeah. And fortunately, I don't think this piece goes higher than that B flat, right? Um,
Right.
so we can save
I
some
love
stress
these
for later.
Gaubert sonatas. They're beautiful.
Yeah, this is totally new for me to learn. I can't believe I got through my this much of my life without having played one of these sonatas before. They are quite beautiful, and lots of opportunity to express many different types of emotions, which I think is great too.
Where are you located?
I'm just outside of St. Louis. I'm in Southern Illinois.
Oh, great.
Just a stream, a river, and a cornfield away from St. Louis. So
Oh, St. Louis is a wonderful city.
yeah, yeah, it's can be a lot of fun.
So what town in Illinois?
I'm in Belleville.
Belleville?
Mm-hmm.
That's at Bellville?
Belleville. There's a German settlement that they gave a French name thinking it would attract more people.
Interesting.
Yep. Great. Any other thoughts or questions out there? I thank you all so much for spending part of your day with me and for
Y'all did
everything
well.
that you do to make this group such a welcoming and experiential group where we're all just learning together. It's a fantastic community that you all help create. So thank you for being here, and thanks again. Let's also remember Flute World. If you use the at checkout Allison 2025, you can get 10% off sheet music and accessories, and there is not a limit to that at all. So even the most expensive accessories, you can get 10% off, at least right now. So if you're stocking up music for the new school year and needing some thumb ports, needing some flute pegs, then go ahead and stock up now, and then you can, I don't know, resell them to your students if you need to that way too. But thank you, Flute World, for being a Solo of the Month's partner and giving us that opportunity for useful discounts too.
Thank you, Matthew.
It was great hearing y'all.
Thank you very much.
It's great teaching.